Welcome to My Forever Home, the podcast. I'm Frances Cosway and I've helped hundreds of people create forever homes. I know firsthand how different it is creating a forever home rather than a house you plan to flip in a few years' time. I believe your forever home should reflect what you love and suit your lifestyle rather than being about trends and resale value. You're creating a home for you and your family, not anyone else. So I'm here to help and guide you along the way. I'm going to share all there is to know about creating a quality forever home that's functional, sustainable, future-proof and adaptable to your family's changing needs so it's multi-generational. We don't do cheap and nasty here. We're about creating things to last. It is your forever home after all. I want to help you gain the knowledge you need to be planned and prepared to create the forever home of your dreams. I can't wait to share the journey with you. So let's start. Hello and welcome to this episode of My Forever Home, the podcast. This is being broadcast in December 2024 and we're very close to Christmas Day. And not all of us celebrate Christmas, but today I'm taking a little bit of a detour and sharing my own personal Christmas tradition story, as it's sometimes the quirky rituals that make Christmas truly special. So nothing here about building a home, renovating, creating your own space. It's more around just simply sharing family traditions and just what Christmas time can actually evoke in us. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's actually just the festive season itself, maybe the holiday downtime that actually can evoke your own traditions. But I suppose for me, Christmas is more than just twinkling lights and beautifully wrapped presents. I've now resorted to not using paper. I actually ended up purchasing Christmas fabric bags that wrap presents with a beautiful bow, and then we can recycle those. So a bit of a bonus, because not only do I have to spend hours and hours and hours in wrapping, but all the paper that just ends up in the recycling bin. So I'm feeling really good, and a girlfriend gave me the recommendation for the beautiful fabrics that are in a bag effectively that you tie up. So I'll be doing those. So beautifully wrapped fabric presents. But often Christmas is about the traditions that we create and carry with us. And interestingly, I was listening to a friend of mine talk about their own traditions, and it really sparked something in me. And I thought, wow, I actually didn't realize just how much tradition has followed through my family. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, to see whether something's evoked that you didn't even realize in your family that's become a tradition. But, you know, when we think about it, what are those unique customs in your family that make Christmas feel like Christmas? Or, as I said earlier, the festive season or the holiday season that brings about a tradition, whether there's a particular holiday you go on, a destination you go to, days out that you have. I know lots of people that have very specific things that they do. But it might be the special dish that you make only once a year. It might be a silly game you play after dinner, or guilty as charged, the afternoon snooze after a big meal, which can really happen at any time of year, but particularly happens at this time of year. But I remember one very specific ritual from my childhood that at the time I thought was so unfair and was really torture for a young girl at Christmas, when we weren't allowed to open any presents until my grandmother arrived. She lived across town, so, you know, she was, in my mind, not very quick at coming to our house. She used to arrive sometime between 11 or 11:30, and you can imagine the agony for a young child surrounded by enticing packages under the tree, when I knew all my friends were gleefully tearing open their gifts as soon as they woke up in the morning. By the time their parents, arose, everything was open and there was mess everywhere. That did not happen in my home. It felt like an eternity waiting for my grandmother. And yes, she was called grandmother. She was not to be called anything else but grandmother. But looking back now on all over the years, and I was reflecting on this, I realised that there was really something beautiful about this tradition, and it instilled, a sense of anticipation, but it also made the moment of gift giving even more special, as we were all able to share in giving and opening each present. So instead of the kids rifling through everything and opening everything, and all that was left were the parents and the adult presents, we all got to see people open their present, get given a present, open the present, review the present, thank the giver. Could have been Santa, so you couldn't always thank him. But it's funny how our perspective on these rituals can change as we get older. So what once seemed like an unbearable weight for me as a child now evokes a feeling of nostalgia. And so now, with my own family, guess what I do? I realise how nice it was to wait and for everyone to open their presents together. So guess what? I've now adopted this tradition for my family. And look, I've got, on the younger side, teenage girls. So yes, I've instilled that into the family, but with a little bit of a twist. So my daughters can open one present before my parents and my brother arrives to our home. And that sort of keeps them occupied and having a little bit of something to keep the excitement bubbling. And then they also have their stockings, which will be filled with little things and a mandarin. And when they've sworn too much for the year, probably a potato, which my younger daughter one year decided, that's awesome, I'm just going to go and decorate the potato. Massive, epic fail on the mother's part there. But so the stocking is a traditional size. It's not a big, massive Santa sack. So they get little things that they can entertain themselves with. But, speaking of Christmas traditions, what are yours? What do you have and treasure over this festive season? What are the holidays you take, the little special things that you do? It's not until I was listening to my friend talk about this that I started to actually reflect on my own. And then I dug a little deeper and started to reflect on what made that special for me. And that's how I got to this, and that's how I got to sharing this with you. But there's another thing that's quite personally special for me, and there's something nothing quite as satisfying for me prior to Christmas as spending a quiet afternoon. Actually, it ends up being days, in fact, weekends of being in the kitchen with the Christmas carols playing while I'm making and crafting homemade treats for hampers that I give to family and friends. They're filled with delicious treats that I, savour over the menus and what am I going to make this year and what are the things that I think people will like, and I need to have a combination of savoury and sweet and things to last. So the main contenders that are reoccurring are grapefruit marmalade, relishes, biscuits, Rocky Road, and this year I'm even going to make a Tangello cello, which is a take on limoncello. I got some Tangellos from a friend of mine, which is a really old type of fruit. But the process of creating these edible gifts really fills me with a sense of warmth and joy that I find it really quite difficult to describe. And it's about sharing something that I suppose I've poured my love and time into, and it's been so meticulously curated, I suppose. It's unique and personal. And it's actually something that I started myself when I was living in Amsterdam. So the cold weather was really inducing times of being inside. And as it was just me, I had heaps of time on my hands. And I had friends, in Slovenia and Amsterdam and London. And I'd often go, as part of my tradition, go and see these people over that holiday period. So for me, it was about bringing something. What could I bring? And so I used to take these enormous hampers on the plane. I can remember so vividly taking these huge hampers for several of my friends in Ljubljana. And they must have thought I was crazy on the plane. And of course, I could take these things in and out of these countries. So it just felt like a really nice way for me to show my appreciation of my friendship with them, because I knew they were crazy about food. But this year I've made a conscious effort to carve out time for this special tradition. My husband actually pointed out to me this week, because you have so much time on your hands, so you're thinking about doing more things. But, I've made a point to make the time because it fills me with joy and it makes me really appreciate this time of year, and it gets me into the whole festive spirit. And it's also a reminder for me that Christmas is not just about receiving, it's about the simple act of giving, and I get so much joy from it. So joy from creating, but the joy of giving and spreading that festive cheer. So, as we gear up for this, magic festival of festivities, lights and people and food and everything else, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own Christmas rituals. As I said earlier, it wasn't until I heard someone else talk about theirs that I thought, I wonder what mine is. And then it got me thinking about that too. So what are the traditions that you cherish the most? What are the traditions that you've taken from childhood that you didn't even realise you were taking, and then all of a sudden they've become your own ritual in your own family, like the one I shared with you earlier? And what about any that you'd like to create for yourself, like I have with the hampers? That's my tradition. Or any that have sort of been lost along the way that you think you can revive. There's time. There's still time to create one of your own, or revive, or do what it is that you'd like to do. So you can share your stories with me on our social media platforms, Facebook or Instagram, because I'd love to hear what your own ritual is. And who knows, I might actually maybe steal it. That's, sharing's caring. It's research. So you can, you by all means share mine. I do not know of any other family, so please let me know if it's yours. I do not know any other family where everyone has to wait. The children in particular have to wait until a key member of the family arrives. And in my childhood, my grandmother was a key member of the household, and she instilled that requirement that no one was to engage in any activities until she arrived. So this matriarch which I thought was so painful, has now instilled it, and I've created it. So I'd love to hear from anyone who actually has the same sort of tradition, because I'm yet to meet or know of someone that has. I think it's uniquely hers, and I've obviously taken on what was uniquely hers as well. However, this is the last podcast that will be posted this side of 2025. So this is the last one for 2024. So absolutely deeply from my forever home to yours, I'm wishing you a season filled with warmth and joy and cherished traditions, a beautiful time for reflecting, having some time to ourselves, time to our families, and really just recharging. And I sincerely hope that you have the time and the ability to be able to do just that. Thank you so much for being a listener. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast over the last 12 months and the last 4 years. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you my learnings to you, and I've had such beautiful feedback from those who have been able to take the information from the podcast and utilise it for creating what they're creating, and that is certainly something that brings warmth to my heart, so I thank you. Thank you to everyone that has left reviews, because that really helps others be able to find me, and if you haven't done that yet, there's still a chance. That's a little Christmas present for me if you could leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast, so that other people can find the podcast in 2025. It was such an accolade to be voted in the top 5 renovating podcasts in Australia. So all of those reviews and listens and downloads absolutely help with all of those things too. And it sort of motivates me a little bit more too to keep bringing you what I do. So have a fabulous holiday season, and I will be back again on the 9th of January for the next edition of the podcast. Bye for now. If you're ready to renovate or build your forever home, you're in the right place. here are some ways to gain further inspiration or how we can work together. Book a chat with me so we can discuss your project in more detail and see how we may be able to assist you with one of our fixed price packages. You can book a chat with me directly at whitepebbleinteriors.com.au/chat. If you're after some peace of mind that your floor plan is as good as it can be, for a small investment, a floor plan sanity check could be just what you need. I review your plans as that second set of professional eyes, ensuring it's functional, flexible, and future-proof for lasting peace of mind. This can save you thousands in structural changes down the track. You can find out more and book directly at whitepebbleinteriors.com.au. And if you'd like to get your hands on some reading material, unlock your dream home and dive into our first ever magazine, Creating Your Forever Home. It's packed with expert insights, stunning visuals, and practical advice on building your forever home. Grab your copy and be inspired now. You can also access the first 3 chapters of my book, Your Forever Home, a practical and helpful guide to gain insights on how to create a home that will suit your needs for the long term. Everything is available at whitepebbleinteriors.com.au/links. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of My Forever Home. If you loved it, please leave a review, share it on Facebook and Instagram for your friends, and be sure to sign up to our newsletter for more insights on creating the forever home of your dreams. If you're really ready to get started, you can book a chat with me via the website whitepebbleinteriors.com.au or check out our online courses designed to provide a clear framework for you at myforeverhome.com. If you've got a question, be sure to get in touch at podcast@myforeverhome.com. Have a great day.